Hello and welcome. I am Enigmius, and this is episode 13 of the Ultimate Feed the Beast Reloaded. Today we're continuing and hopefully completing construction of the first mega tower in our Testificate mega build. As you can see in the last episode, we got most of the back framework into place, and now it's time to get hopefully some floors, some walls, all of the details in and done. So we're kind of putting everything into place as we go, including the lighting. We're still using the inverted purple zycorodite lamps all the way through the facility just to kind of keep things similar. And the cobblestone and the birch planks and the birch logs, which if I were to do it all over again, I wouldn't use. I don't really think it added a whole lot having the three different colors in place, but the Testificates don't seem to mind. They're kind of a randy bunch, and they'll do what they need to do no matter where they are, apparently, which is the main sort of thing that we were aiming for with this whole project, was having ready access to Testificates, and a large number of them. So you can see we're working up, and I'm still just doing the framework. I'm not doing all of the little connecting bits. I'm basically just putting in the partitions between the doors, and then once all of that is done, I can step back and take a look at it, make sure that I'm going to be happy with the profile. And if I am, then I can go back and connect everything. And that's sort of one of my key building things that you'll hear repeated very, very regularly, is just doing the minimum to get an idea of what the shape will be like, and then taking a look at it to see if I'm happy, and if I am, then I continue, and if not, it's much easier to change than if I had sort of finished a very large section of the project and realized that I didn't like it at all. So we've got just a few more floors to go, and already starting to get an idea of what the sloping sort of front face is going to look like. I'm mostly happy with it. It's, like I say, it's really difficult to get a smooth sort of sloping, rounded shape in Minecraft just because the blocks are so large. I've done things with micro blocks in the past to kind of smooth out the edges. The difficulty with that is quite often the lighting doesn't hit the micro blocks the same way as the rest of the blocks, so they stand out, which undermines the whole benefit of the process, because the idea is they're supposed to blend in with the blocks around them. And just sort of take that chunky edge off of them, and they end up sticking out like sore thumbs. So in this case, we're just going to leave it chunky. We'll see how it goes from there. But we're pretty much done with the structural elements right now. We've got the top floor sort of section going in. We're going to get the cobblestone roof into place with all of the birch logs and all that other stuff. And now it's time to go around and start filling in all of the sideways birch logs that sort of connect the partitions between the doors and make it more of a structure instead of just a bunch of sticks kind of held together by cobblestone platforms. And really this is where things start to get a little bit interesting, because it does start to look a little bit more like a finished structure, even though we still have to get walkways in, we still have to get rails on those walkways. We're by no means even close to finished. But we're getting there. We're making good progress, and I'm starting to see now, even you know, looking at it from this angle, we can start to see that gradually sloped front face on the left side there is, I think, about the best that I can get it for right now. I don't know what else that I could do to make it slope anymore, considering that top floor section isn't actually a room. It's more of a walkway. It's so narrow. By the time we get the structural components in, the partitions between the doors, that's all that's left, is like a little walkway in between. So I don't think I could have made any of the floors any smaller, or we wouldn't have a top floor. It would just be a lump of blocks up, you know, up on top with no room for anybody to move around. Kind of defeats the purpose. But with that done, the birch stuff done, it's time to start thinking about getting the glass, the many glass pieces into place. I think I came up with about 16 or 20 stacks of glass that I started off with. I knew it was going to take a lot. I didn't know exactly how much. I could have done all kinds of crazy maths to get a more accurate idea, but what I can't tell you is when I was done, I had 10 glass blocks left, which was, I was feeling very grateful that I had been that accurate. I would have been happy if I had a few stacks left. But the one thing that I didn't want was to have to stop and go back and make more. Right now, what I'm finding is, as far as being able to manually process materials, my facilities are lagging behind. The automatic processing I'm very happy with. It just does its thing. I don't have to think about it. There's some things that I'll be adding to the automatic system in the not too distant future. But for processing on demand, I think I'm going to be probably putting some Industrial Craft 2 machines into place. Just because the Tier 2 machines do work so quickly. And it would be so much easier if I need things like glass or stone or things of that nature where I only create them on demand to be able to pass them through faster machines. So that's something that I'm keeping in mind. But for now, we're working our way up, getting the glass into place. And these walkways are basically the same dimensions as the walkways that we put in on the lower levels. Mainly because their primary purpose is to make sure that we're getting enough of the outside spaces on the, the one side of the doors to make that door count as a valid door for determining what the maximum population of the village is. If the maximum population is higher than the current population, that's when the testificates start breeding like rabbits and we get all kinds of craziness going on. So that's the primary purpose of the walkways, is making sure that we have that. And there's not much point in having the doors and letting the testificates to walk around in them unless they have somewhere to walk. So we need to have glass, first of all, and they need to be large enough for the testificates to walk on them. So glass, glass, and more glass. We've got the backside basically done. Now we're getting the front profile walkways into place. Once I sort of got into a rhythm with this and sort of knowing how to do the curves without having to compare what I was doing to the level below or anything like that, it actually went pretty quickly, especially with the Gravisuit chest piece. I can't emphasize enough how much easier building is, especially on a vertical level with something like the Gravisuit chest piece, as opposed to hopping around on nerd poles and holding shift along the edges of different structures. I couldn't do builds like this anymore if I didn't have the flake option, not because it's impossible, but because it would be too damn slow. That's just the bottom line, is once you've got a taste of how much easier and quicker it is to do it with flight, going back to crawling around on the edges of various different things and nerd poles, just not really all that appealing. You can see I've missed a couple of chunks that I'll eventually find and fill in, but I don't even know how I managed to miss them this time around. I'm going around now and I'm putting in the purple lamps, and this is where I'll sort of come across them and say, what the hell, how did I miss those? But yeah, it happens. Here's another one that I missed. 3 altogether that I missed. Wow. Anyways, yeah, we get them filled in, we get more purple lamps into place, whether it's for me, my machines, or testificates. Gotta have it lit. It's just one of those things. It doesn't make sense to leave it unlit and then be pissed off when you go to open a door and blam, there's a creeper. I've had it happen. I don't like it when it happens. This is the solution, so that's what we're going to do. Take care of the lighting, especially with the purple lamps. Samuel L. Jackson would approve. And then once that's done, it's basically, I decided that I wanted to put a stone border around the edges of the glass, just because as it stands, especially from a distance, with the Optifine connected textures, you can't really see the glass. It's invisible by design. You can see right through it, except for that little wooden border around the outside edge. And I didn't want to use any more cobblestone for building if I was going to do it as a decorative touch. Stone was definitely the way to go for me. And you can see I'm just starting to get those in, going around and adding in just a single block stone layer around the glass, so that when you're viewing it, and again, especially from a distance, it takes on that sort of nebulous effect of the rings going up around the outside of the building with the little purple lights interspersed between the stone bricks. So that was, I was happy with it in the sense that it's a design element that goes just above and beyond blopping bricks into place and calling it a day. It still looks chunky. Like, we're fairly close to the building now, the cameraman is, and it looks blocky and kind of rough, but there's really nothing that I can do about that, at least until the lighting engine, maybe 1.5, 1.6 when they upgrade, The Feed the Beast packs, we'll see what the lighting engine is doing with microblocks. But for now, it is what it is. And really, actually, I'm in the process now. If you're keeping an eye on the lower levels, I am going around and starting to add the doors, or I will be very quickly, very shortly here. Which signals pretty close to the end. I've got some rails now on the lower sort of balconies going into place. The one issue that I encountered is that if you look on the right-hand side where I left the stone blocks off of the glass on the walkways, that's because there's going to be another tower on that flat building to the right that is going to be merging the walkways with this one. So if I were to put stone blocks in there now, I'd just be removing them later. And I hate smelting stone blocks knowing that I'm going to be breaking them later on. So I just kind of left it that way for now. And what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to be taking a break from this project. We're going to start on some more technical things. I've got some stuff that I want to get started on. And I'll work away at this as I get a chance and take some footage as I can. And then we'll do an update later on that'll show you the finished project. What you're seeing now is basically the same concept that's going to be repeated 3 more times around the outside edge of the facility, or sorry, on each of the flat buildings on the facility. And the other 3 will each be a little bit shorter than the last, so we'll get sort of a stepping effect going around in a spiral. But in terms of actually making you wait while I do that and put together the episodes, I think that would be kind of cruel, because it would just be repetition from here on out, and something that we could do, you know, anytime. And here we are, a little bit more of a personalized view of the village with the tower. You can see all of our testificates milling about down on the ground. Getting there. It's definitely taking shape. I was mentioning before how this was the area here with the glass that I didn't put the border around, because it will eventually merge with the tower that goes on this building. And you can see, just going by the black lamps on the ground relative to the purple, that these purple lamps are basically marking the middle of the walkway, and then the walkway from this tower here is going to come out this way. So they're going to overlap and basically merge, which is why I didn't want to have the stone in there. And it also means that I don't want to build staircases through the different floors to allow the testificates to work their way up when they could just as easily come back down the hard way. Not ideal, especially if it's one of the testificates that I'm actually happy to have around, like the Apiarist and the Mistcraft testificates. So I still have to finish this lower area down here. What I think I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to build another glass walkway in between these 2 sections, because right now we've got the cutouts for the doors. Damn, those guys are noisy at night. We've got some cutouts for the doors, but there's nowhere for the doors to come out to. And I don't want testificates ever being up here and not being able to, you know, walk around through the doors wherever they feel like without falling, even though they aren't necessarily going to have access up here. I want to have it built properly the first time. So I think that's what I'll end up doing, is I'll just build a glass walkway across, and then I can go around and put in the rest of the doors. And as soon as I finish the doors on this floor, I think it will merge the rest of the tower with the village below in terms of dictating how many testificates can be in the village. And then these guys will start breeding like rabbits again, and we'll see probably an explosive growth in population, and they'll all be on the 2nd floor here, I think. Actually, no, they'll probably be spread out amongst everything, which means that 1st floor down there, that lower level, is going to be swamped with testificates. But that was the goal, and, you know, go big or go home. Later on, if I find that they're too dense on one floor, once we've got staircases and all those other various nifty things, I can just use a portal gun to kind of thin them out and move them around amongst the different floors. So that's the building. Many doors, creating many testificates, or they will be soon. There's just one other thing that I wanted to quickly scoot over and show you guys, which is my Mistcraft area, given that this whole project came about out of a desire to be able to have a Mistcraft portal in the end, so that we can move between the end and the overworld whenever we want for farming Endermen for Ender Pearls. Kind of, if the Mystcraft bit is working, then we might as well just show it off a little bit. The irony is that most of the pages I've got did not come from Testificates. A lot of them did, but you can see this is my primary notebook here, and these are all of the pages that I've accumulated. And then I picked up a second notebook, and it came with a number of pages, and then I put some other ones in it as well. Most of these pages came from Mystcraft Ages, the abandoned libraries, and I just wanted to kind of show you here. We've got crystals. This came from an abandoned library. Very, very important, because like I say, I prefer to use portals as opposed to book stands or any other kind of thing. Portals with receptacles for the books is the way I like to do things with the Mystcraft stuff, so it was very important. I just got that last night. In addition, and this is courtesy of the Densors, I've got a couple of those, courtesy of the Testificates themselves, just so that we don't think that it was a wasted effort. There we go, diamond ore, 64 emeralds for the diamond ore page. And the irony is I've got 3 stacks of diamonds from my quarrying activities. I don't really need diamonds, but it's nice to know if I have a sudden need for a lot of diamonds and I'm not afraid to go the slightly cheaty route, I do have access to the diamond ore page for my worlds. And I've got all kinds of different bios. I plan on setting up a bee biome or a bee world using some tips that some people offered for my previous activities with the bees. And the hell biome for when I decide to start farming ghasts for a Galgadorian drill head. Stuff like that. So, I mean, we've got all kinds of crazy stuff. I got a lot of duplicate pages, as you can see. I've got like 5 hell biome pages. But we're in a position now where we can really start making use of Mystcraft and, you know, continuing to check out abandoned libraries as we come across them. Lava lakes, all kinds of crazy stuff. So that's where we're at. Mystcraft is well underway. The Testificate village is thriving and just needs a little bit more work for that tower to be brought online as a breeding source for whatever kind of crazy movies we want to make. That you didn't hear that. So that's where we're at. Next episode, we're going to start on some Red Power frame stuff. There's a project that I've had in mind with regards to farming that I've been putting off because we were doing all this other stuff. But now it's time to get down into the technical bits and see what we can do to do the automated farming our way, because nobody else was doing it the way that I like to do it. So that'll be the next episode. If you're looking forward to it, but you're not yet subscribed to my channel, the easiest way to know when I've added it is to subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.